Well, it is time now to say goodbye to our Queensland viewers who are going to Seven's coverage of the funeral of slain police officer Brett Forte.
Today, Queensland will pause. For most of us, we first heard Brett Forte's name just a week ago. Today, we learn about his life and have the chance to say thank you, to let his young family know the state stands behind them. 7 News now takes you live to Toowoomba to farewell Senior Constable Brett Forte. Your hosts, live across Queensland, Sharon Gadella and Bill McDonald.
Well, hello and welcome to the Garden City on a very cool morning on top of the range for what will be a deeply personal farewell to Senior Constable Brett Forte.
Thousands of people are making their way to the University of Southern Queensland here today in Toowoomba. It's the venue for today's service, the Clive Berghofer Recreation Centre. As people arrived, they've been laying wreaths for the officer who was shot dead in the Lockyer Valley last Monday afternoon. Now, Bill, friends, family and the wider police community are here in force today. Premier Anastasia Palaszczuk is due to arrive shortly, and so too is Queensland's Governor Paul de Jersey. And every police service from across Australia and New Zealand will be represented here today. Yes, Sharon, now there is seating, of course, inside the venue for 2,200 people. If that fills, there are 3,000 chairs that have been laid out, as you can see behind us here on the outside area as well. I don't think there's going to be any doubt that these chairs are going to be filled up today, just the number of people that are turning up here at the moment. So I think we'll have a pretty full service here today. It is, of course, a chance to honour Brett and thank his family for the sacrifice made to protect the community. And as you said, Bill, this will be the biggest funeral ever held here, I think, in Toowoomba. They had to hold the service here because there was nowhere else in this Garden City to actually hold this many people for today's service. Now, a number of dignitaries, as we mentioned just earlier there, will be here today. We mentioned, of course, the Governor, Paul de Jersey, the Premier, Anastasia Palaszczuk. The Opposition Leader, Tim Nicholls, will also be here. And the Prime Minister will be represented today, Bill, by Peter Dutton. He will be here on behalf of the Prime Minister. And we understand also Pauline Hanson may also be here at the service today. And a lot of everyday folk, if you like, because we know how much Brett's death touched ordinary people in the community, because that's what he was about. We know he was a larrikin, but he was also a man of the people, so in his job. And we know there's a lot of people that have just made their way up here to pay their respects for the final time today. So well, the police did say that it's not just about honouring Brett today. Of course, that's the main focus, but it's also honouring the work that all police officers do in this state. They do put their lives on the line every day. You can see pictures there from inside the Clive Berghofer Recreational Centre. That, of course, is the casket carrying Brett Forte, and his hat has been placed on the casket as well as floral tributes there. And anything representing Brett's service in the police force will be laid out there today, as well as we see more officers filing in. It's going to be a big service today, and of course it will be he'll be buried, or he'll be farewell with full police service honours. There'll be an honour guard as well later today, so he will get a very, very big send-off, and hopefully that gives his family a little bit of comfort today. It's going to be a tough day for them, no doubt about that. Certainly, yeah. Well, of course, the police were saying they're hoping to send Brett off in style. They certainly have gone all out today to make this a very special day for Brett and his family as he is farewelled. I know a lot of planning has gone into this day, Bill, and you can see their police talking and gathering. It's extraordinary, isn't it? We drove into Toowoomba this morning, the number of police that are in the Garden City. They were everywhere on the road and on the range on the way up here to Toowoomba, and I know they want to give their mate, their colleague, the best send-off possible today. Yes, police are going to be out in force here, as we can see the large numbers inside the venue. That'll be filled up pretty quick, so as we can see the seating outside is filling up fast as well behind us. Well, Brett's family wanted today's tribute live across Queensland, Bill, so his workmates he served with over the past 15 years could of course be part of today's service wherever they are in the state. And this past week, Brett's parents have been very, very open as they come to terms with the loss of their son. And Brett, of course, is a third-generation police officer.
I'm so proud. The whole family is just so proud of Brett and what what he's done.
Well, they say people come, they say people go. This particular diamond was extra special. I know you might be gone, and the world may not know. Still I see a celestial.
Brett was a larrikin, and that's how he wanted to be remembered. And obviously, being a police officer, being in danger all the time, but he loved his job. He loved the people he worked with. So we're very proud of him.
There's a feeling within me that ever glows. Like brothers in blood, or sisters who rise. You were swore on that night we'd be friends till we died. But the changing of winds and the way waters flow, life is short as the falling of snow.
People don't usually realise how close the police families are, and everybody supports one another.
This shows that the public appreciate what the police do for them, and when somebody makes that ultimate sacrifice, that their thoughts are with us. Son is a genuine hero, and I think that the community realises that, and so there's an even greater outpouring of grief.
Just one of them blokes that is easy to get on with, and will, tell a joke anytime. He just loved it. Absolutely loved being here. Loved his family, loved his kids, and especially loved his wife as well.
So if you love someone, you should let them know. Oh, the light that you give me will ever glow.
Brett was just like Sam, the blonde hair, the greeny blue eyes. We will see Brett every day of our lives while he's in our life.
Pretty tough to watch that, isn't it, Bill? That tribute there to Senior Constable Brett Forte. And you're seeing live pictures now inside the Clive Berghofer Recreation Centre here in Toowoomba, where Brett Forte will be farewelled this morning. And it's going to be a tough day, isn't it, Bill, for his family? I know that the police community is right behind them. They've had tremendous support from the public, but you just can't imagine what they'll be going through today as they relive Brett's life.
Yeah, it'll be a very touching moment for them today, and of course from all of the Seven family we send our best wishes to the Fortes and also the police family at large as well. Brett Forte's wife Susie, their kids Sam, Emma, Brody, Mum and Dad, Heather and Stuart, everyone's thinking of them today. They'll probably have and some spots there today, share a laugh, thinking of some great memories, but there'll be a lot of tough spots as well. But all of Queensland and everybody here today will be have their hearts out for them.
Yeah, they certainly will have. Well, next we're going to take a short break and we're going to look at the strange twist of fate that has seen 3 Queensland police officers shot on the same date. We will speak to one of them soon.
What makes the super nerd nervous?
Plays on my mind.
More nervous than we've ever seen him.
I sort of dwell on it backstage during the break. I come undone.
Will he come undone?
Time restarts.
In the final seconds?
Stop the clock.
New The Chase, today at 5.
Toast popped. Her heart leapt. Clutching the knife, she plunged it deep inside the thick, creamy filly. Smoothing it over, she pushed in blueberries, then devoured her creation. Filly tastes delightfully exciting.
Oi! You blokes think you're hard as nails tradies. Hardly. Hey, sprinkles. What is that? A cupcake? This timber? Perfect. If you're building a boomerang... Here's some of the good gear. For quality timber delivered in full, on time, and actual hardware, not software, go where the tradies go. Home Timber and Hardware.
All new and existing Yui customers can now get half their insurance premiums in Yui Rewards to use on offers like $250 off select holidays at Flight Centre.
All sorted. Welcome to Yui.
Premiums in, rewards out. Yui Rewards. More great value from Yui.
We're looking for a home loan.
Kevin, really?
Who's that? Offset.
Okay, so they're going to need an offset account so they can put a little bit of money away for their holiday. Who can get approval by the end of the week? That's good.
Get the right home loan by getting Aussie on your side.
Crunchy, munchy, marshmallow soft, ready to be scoffed. The glorious Woolworths Rocky Road biscuits, just $1.65.
That's why I pick Woolies.
You're the third cold and flu remedy I've seen. Why should I pick you?
I'm liquid fast and I relieve your tough cold and flu symptoms.
Really?
I'll also work day and night for you.
But what sets you apart?
Well, unlike some others, I'll also help support your immune health because I come packed with a blend of vitamins and zinc plus ginseng.
Very impressive.
My job is to help you feel better by combating the dreaded winter cold and flu symptoms.
When can you start?
Today.
New Dynatap Ultra Plus. Feel better, fast.
Did you know Cartridge World do more than just ink?
It's tax time. Come in store and see the great deals we have on offer, like our Canon printers. Get up to $150 cash back that you can keep or donate to charity. And don't forget to stock up on brilliant Australian-made quality A4 copy paper. Just $4.95 a ream. The more you buy, the more you save. Terms and conditions apply.
Drop into your local Cartridge World today. Print smarter with Cartridge World.
Well, welcome back to this special 7 News coverage live from Toowoomba. The service to farewell Senior Constable Brett Forte is due to begin soon. Now, at the conclusion of the service, the Guard of Honour will be extensive. It will be huge. More than 70 police motorcycles, 50 police dogs, plus police on horseback, and the police helicopter will take part to say farewell to Brett Forte. Now, as you can see on your screen there, these are live pictures inside the Clive Berghofer Recreational Centre here at the University of Southern Queensland. It's where Brett will be farewelled today. Police officers from right around the state are here to say goodbye to their colleague and their mate. He's remembered, of course, as a larrikin, Brett Forte, a man who was very good at resolving conflicts, but a man who always had a joke in his back pocket that he could pull out and make people laugh, and that's what people will be remembering today, the wonderful memories that come with having known Brett Forte. Now, Brett Forte was killed on May 29. It's a date on the calendar etched in the hearts of 2 other police families, and Rod Young takes a look at this strange twist of timing.
What's in a date? May 29, 1991.
Stop now, further down.
Queensland's most wanted Harold McSweeney was on the run after breaking out of Boggo Road in a garbage truck. In Toowoomba, he shot Detective Ross Barnett.
The policeman was hit in the hip during an exchange of shots following a tip-off.
He shot me in the hip. He had a .357 Magnum, which he shot me with, and he also had a 9mm automatic, which luckily he dropped as he got out of the car.
Ross Barnett survived and rose to Deputy Police Commissioner.
In my own circumstances, I consider myself very fortunate to have come through that just fine.
What about that policeman you shot at in Toowoomba today?
Oh, he shot at me. Anybody who puts on a blue shirt understands that that is a risk.
The same date, exactly 20 years later.
Shots fired. Opposite down.
On the Gold Coast, Detective Damien Leading was murdered while responding to an armed robbery at Pacific Pines Tavern.
We need an ambulance code 1. An ambulance code 1.
May 29 this year, Senior Constable Brett Forte from the Tactical Crime Squad was shot dead near Toowoomba. From one police family to another, the memories came flooding back for Damien Leading's loved ones.
It has been the hardest since Damien's death, with the recent passing of Brett Forte, so similar to what our family experienced, and it's almost felt like living it a second time round.
3 Queensland officers, 3 shootings, the same date.
And I'm with the former Deputy Commissioner now, Ross Barnett, a highly decorated officer. Can you believe the coincidence with these dates?
Look, the murder of a police officer on any day of the year is a tragedy, obviously, but to have 3 police shootings on the same day of the year, it's just a tragic coincidence, and certainly I think will mark this day within the police force as a very sad one.
Does it take you back at all to your memory?
Well, absolutely. The fact that it happened on the same day in Toowoomba was very chilling for me, and incredibly sad for the police family that we had to lose a fine officer in the execution of his duty in these circumstances.
How important is today for the family and for the police service?
Look, incredibly important as you look around to see the respect that's being paid to Brett and his family by not only the police family but the wider community. I think it's incredibly important that this ceremony is being televised and recorded, because in the years to come, I'm sure his family, particularly his children, will revisit this telecast and all of the wonderful images and reflect on the respect that was shown to their father, and reflect that his sacrifice was not in vain.
It's touched a lot of people in the community, hasn't it? Anyone would, I know, but this one has really resonated with a lot of people, not only members of the police force.
I think the fact that effectively he was executed by a violent career criminal who, for merely trying to do his job. The community expects that people like Madison will be taken into custody and dealt with by the law. It falls to the brave police officer to take that step. And sadly, on this occasion, this was an individual who was determined not to be captured. And he laid a trap and he executed the first police officer who came into sight.
All right, thanks for talking with us today, and we'll let you go and be part of the service.
Thanks, Bill.
Former Deputy Police Commissioner Ross Barnett talking with us, Sharon. Obviously a big day for him as well.
Yes, it will be. It'll bring back... Yes, it will be, Bill. It will bring back a lot of memories for him, and also for the family of Damien Leading, who was also shot on the same day 6 years ago. You're seeing live pictures here from inside the Clive Berghofer Recreation Centre. That is the opposition leader Tim Nicholls there laying a wreath, and the opposition police minister Tim Mander there as well laying a wreath. 7 dignitaries are going to lay wreaths today. When the Police Commissioner Ian Stewart lays his wreath, it will be the final wreath that will be laid today, and that of course will signal the start of the funeral service, which is due to get underway at 11 a.m. today. We'll take a short break and return soon.
The award-winning star of one of Australia's biggest comedy hits. Now, Shane Jacobson faces his toughest challenge yet.
How old do you think I am?
About 67.
It's just a little tear that come out.
Little Big Shots is coming.
Dear, I'm 7.
I've been colouring since I was 19.
I've gone through every brand.
Then everything changed with Olia. Garnier Olia, the first permanent home hair colour powered by oil, not ammonia.
What I really like about the colour is that it's really, really vivid.
I love that with Olia, my hair gets better every time I use it. Now I don't see damage. All signs of damage gone. And 0 greys. It feels so soft.
I definitely would recommend it to everyone.
Olia by Garnier. Experience the difference for yourself.
As one of Queensland's leading aged care providers with over 60 years' experience delivering tailored care, Blue Care offers the support you need so you and your family can continue living life your way.
The Myer Stocktake sale is on. Take 30 to 40% off selected clearance products from women's, men's and children's clothing and accessories, intimate apparel and homewares. Conditions apply. Offer available while stocks last. Visit Myer today.
Yes! If you're into NRL like me and think that the mighty JT should be our next Prime Minister, then you should be able to watch your team play every game of every round live, no matter who you go for. Go the Cowboys! You deserve to see the Titans, Storm, Raiders, even every Souths game. Being premiers must be such an amazing feeling, Hindy.
Fox League. All 16 teams, one new channel, only on Foxtel.
As parents, we know things don't go as planned. And little mistakes happen from time to time. We're not always going to get it right. But when treating pain and fever, make no mistake in choosing Children's Panadol because it relieves 6 conditions of pain and fever. Nothing is more effective, plus it's gentle on little tummies. Children's Panadol. When pain is gone, life takes its place.
Welcome back. You're watching a special 7 News presentation as we farewell Senior Constable Brett Forte here in the Garden City of Toowoomba. It is a huge day for the police service here. You can see various members of the force represented here today. As you look around, it is a sea of blue. There are police officers from all over the state here to say goodbye to a mate, a man who served the community well and who will be remembered as a man who put his life on the line and paid the ultimate sacrifice to try to save others. Now, we've had this morning a number of dignitaries laying wreaths to bid farewell to Brett Forte. We saw there the opposition leader and the opposition police minister as well. We understand Senator Pauline Hanson will also lay a wreath. But it's time now to go back to Bill McDonnell with a man who knows these ceremonies all too well, a former Inspector Bluey O'Gorman. Bill.
Yeah, thank you, Sharon. Bluey, you've probably been to too many of these, I would imagine.
Yeah, I haven't counted them, but there's been far too many. But it's the reality that if you join the police, it's a possibility that it's going to be something you have to confront, and sometimes they don't go right. And that's the sad part of it.
What do you make so far of the turnout here today?
Mate, it's moved me. I was instrumental in starting Police Remembrance Day, and to see the turnout of police and the community. I just see people from the Life Flight Helicopter Service walk past, a real good representation from the Fire Service, the Ambulance Service, the military, and to say that people respect what the police do enough to put the effort to come to pay their respects when we lose somebody is very moving.
I was just talking to Ross Barnett and I asked him this question. What does it mean to the family and to the police family, the wider police family, for a send-off like this?
Mate, I think it's hard to put into words, to be honest with you. My motivation for Remembrance Day, part of it was it's being borne out here that we underline to the immediate family of the fallen colleague that he or she will never ever be forgotten. We've got the memorial wall in the academy. We've got the national wall in Canberra. There's a number of offshoot events that are taken, but I think it's important that each and every one of these police officers who are still doing the job today, that they take notice of how much their effort is valued, and if we lose one of them, we'll pay the same respect to them as we are to young Brett.
And I know your thoughts will probably no doubt be with the family today, because you go back not only one generation, a couple.
Yeah, I was sworn in June 1966. And I was sent to a little station called Zilmere on the north side of Brisbane, and a fellow called Jack Forte worked there, and he was Brett's grandfather. And I knew Stewie, Brett's dad. I knew him very, very well. Yeah.
All right. Well, as you go, thanks for talking to us, Blue.
Thanks very much, mate. Thank you.
Sharon?
Thank you, Bill. Now, the service is due to start at 11 a.m. You can see Brett's family entering the hall now as they take their seats. The police service, of course, prides itself on starting on time, and we will make sure that we will return very soon after this short break to begin the service for Brett Forte.
You absolutely nailed that.
Yeah! 5 reveals.
Everything you did, I loved it.
He's wearing a fun suit, but he's not in a fun mood.
You totally blew it.
Will this be their elimination? New house rules. Sunday at 7.
Kids, for the little person in your life, specialising in children's dentistry with bright fun rooms, toys and games, and our special helper, Dexter. Kids is Mackay's first dedicated children's health centre. We've created a positive environment to help make your child's trip to the dentist fun and give them a great start for a healthy life. Come and say hi to Dexter and the team at Kids. Discovery Lane, North Mackay.
If it's spacial-ac, stack it and pack it with Multi-Rack. Tidying the garage or building a warehouse, Multi-Rack has the complete storage solution for you. All tested to Australian standards at the Big Yellow Shed in Thurston Street, Glenella.
That's Multi-Rack.
When I got the phone call from my family that my father had passed away, I didn't know how I was going to get there to say goodbye until I heard from Insurance Line.
Insurance Line's funeral insurance gives you flexible cover, with payout usually within 24 hours.
I got to attend his funeral, thanks to my father.
Premiums won't go up as you get older, and after 2 months of cover, you'll get a bonus gift. To apply, just call 13 44 64 or go to insuranceline.com.au.
At JG Mowers, we specialise in zero-turn ride-ons.
Get an amazing deal on the World Lawn Viper zero-turn mower. Now only $6,490 with a fully welded fabricated steel deck, huge 24-horsepower V-twin Briggs & Stratton engine and dual fuel tanks, heavy-duty spindles, high-back seat with armrests and extra-wide Carlisle tyres. Get your World Lawn Viper zero-turn mower from JG Centre today.
We are the Mower Men.
Bedshed's store-wide stock take sale is now on, and we're taking up to 50% off mattresses, bedroom suites and more. That's up to 50% off store-wide. So hurry into Bedshed. No one's better in the bedroom.
All new models in store now at Bowen Mazda. Don't go anywhere until you've checked our prices on new BT50, the new CX-9 range and the all-new CX-5. New models in store now at Bowen Mazda.
Hi there, Tony here from U-Blinds Mackay. There's never been a more exciting time to talk to me about your blinds, awnings and shutters. Call me for an obligation-free quote in your home. Remember, it's all about you.
Well, welcome back to our special coverage of the police funeral with full honours for Senior Constable Brett Forte, who lost his life 10 days ago in an act of pure evil near Gatton in southern Queensland. And Bill, we saw earlier the family of Brett Forte has arrived here at today's service, and it's going to be a very, very tough day for them today. We've seen also dignitaries laying wreaths. We understand that once the Police Commissioner lays his wreath, that will then signal the start of this service, which is due to get underway at 11 a.m. today.
Yes, not far away now, Sharon. That's exactly right. Once Commissioner Ian Stewart lays the final wreath, the service will officially commence. We will have, of course, wreath layings followed by 5 reverends conducting the service today. It's a very big service as we look a sweeping shot over the spillover area outside the venue. The inside part of the venue is full. and outside, and too many seats available as well, as we see the Governor de Jersey making his way up to lay a wreath as well.
Yeah. Well, Brett wasn't known to everyone in the police force, but his death has certainly touched many people, not only in the police force, but also in the wider community as well, Bill. You know, the amount of people here today is testament, isn't it, to the impact that his death has had on Queenslanders everywhere, from the Governor down.
Yeah.
Everyone wants to pay their respects and to make sure that he has a dignified farewell. He was a man who put his life on the line, as all police officers do. We always appreciate police officers. I don't think we ever say enough, do we? Thank you for the great work that they do, and today's funeral service also gives people an opportunity to do that, as well as to farewell Brett Forte.
I think that's a large part of them, the public coming together, because they do appreciate it, and it draws attention to the great work the police do to serve the community and protect the community. And given there's so much bad stuff that happens in our communities today, I think more than ever we appreciate the work that they do. And I know people were coming from Brisbane. They wanted to be here to say thanks, and we also heard that people were going to stations after it happened 10 days ago, and just to drop in and pay their respects and say thanks, you're doing a great job, we wanted to let you know we support you. And so
there
it's
are
had a
even
wonderful
people
effect.
walking up to police officers in the street and just saying thank you, you know, as a result of Brett tragically losing his life. There you see the Premier there, Anastasia Palaszczuk. She is also going to lay a wreath today, and we understand, I think Peter Dutton will lay a wreath on behalf of the Prime Minister as well. So the entire nation is behind Brett Forte today, as we sadly say goodbye to him.
Also, as part of the full police service honours today, we'll have the colour party laying appropriate flags as well at the start of the service. Throughout the service today, I think we're going to be hearing from perhaps Brett's wife Susie and Emma with tributes. We'll also have letters from the family as well that will be presented. Mum and Dad, I believe, are presenting letters as well. Letters will be read on their behalf, and there'll be a eulogy, of course, from a friend of the family. Lots of tributes, because we know that he was a popular figure amongst all his friends, family and the police force. The real larrikin. It's been said that he'd be looking at this today going, what's all the fuss about?
Yeah,
you know,
I'd say so.
It's not about me, it's about other people.
Yeah.
So he's probably going to be a bit touched if he was seeing what was going on today.
Well, he entered the police force, Bill, at the age of 26. You know, he's had 15 years service in the Queensland Police Force. So there's a lot of history there. And, of course, he's a third-generational police officer. There you have Peter Dutton there, of course, representing the Prime Minister today, the Immigration Minister there laying a wreath on behalf of the Australian people. And as I said, you know, Brett, he wasn't known to everyone in the police force, but he certainly had a reputation as a real larrikin, a guy who could, I understand, resolve conflicts with his humour. You know, he had that ability.
He had a ripping sense of humour.
Yeah, and he's served at various police stations in the southeast. I know he was in Ipswich. He's also served at Caboolture, Chinchilla, Cunnamulla, and then, of course, coming here to Toowoomba, where he did meet his wife, Susie. And we saw Susie the other day attending the memorial outside the Toowoomba police station, and, you know, she had that moment of reflection, and she seemed quite stoic to start with, and then, of course, you just saw her break down, and you can only imagine what she is going through today. And, of course, Brett's 3 children as well. It can't be easy for them to have to sit there right now and see all of this take place. But they must also, Bill, I guess, you know, get great comfort from the fact that so many people have turned out here today. You know, his life has not been taken in vain.
It's a lot to take in, but you would hope so. I'm sure their minds are on other things, and their minds will wander around today. We've got the Southern Region Assistant Commissioner Tony Wright also laying a wreath today, and following him will be Darling Downs District Officer Superintendent Mark Kelly. And then we should see the Police Commissioner lay the final wreath to get proceedings underway. But yes, it's so much for them to take in today, particularly Susie. We know she's been struggling, a police officer herself, and she was very brave in coming out to look at the makeshift memorial at the police station during the week with their little fella Sam blowing those bubbles.
Well, one of the interesting things, Bill, as I was researching, you know, Brett and Brett's life, the thing that always came to the fore was what an outstanding police officer he was. They always said how mature he was. He had this ability, you know, if he didn't know the answer to something, he asked. He made sure he was well versed in whatever he was doing. He was one of those police officers that was very paid particular attention to detail. And I remember they said how mature he was, even as a young individual. Instead of going to schoolies week, he actually went out and tried to get a job. He was that type of individual.
All right, Sharon, here we go. The Police Commissioner Ian Stewart will lay the final wreath, which will signal the official start of the service today. Of course, we'll be hearing from the Commissioner throughout the service. We'll also have tributes from the government representatives today, and at the completion it will be followed up by the Guard of Honour, full motorcade, 1 kilometre outside of the service here today. So there we go, Police Commissioner Ian Stewart laying the final wreath.
And the final salute. And of course this now signifies, Bill, that the service will get underway here in Toowoomba. Very moving moment there, wasn't it, when you see the Police Commissioner bid farewell to one of his officers. This, of course, is the first. Well, it's the first time he's had to farewell an officer murdered, killed in the line of duty since he took over, and that would be tough for any police commissioner to have to deal with that.
It's time now to, I think, Sharon, farewell Police Officer Brett Forte,
together for the
Inspector
funeral of Senior Constable Brett
Cummins.
Forte. I respectfully acknowledge the traditional owners of the land on which we are gathering, the Jarrawa and Guyabal people, and pay respect to their elders, past, present and emerging. On behalf of Brett's family and the Queensland Police Service, I acknowledge the presence of the following dignitaries: His Excellency the Honourable Paul de Jersey AC, Governor of Queensland, and Mrs Kay de Jersey; the Honourable Anastasia Palaszczuk MP, Premier of Queensland, Minister for the Arts; the Honourable Peter Dutton MP, Minister for Immigration and Border Protection, representing Prime Minister the Honourable Malcolm Turnbull; the Honourable Mark Ryan MP, Minister for Police, Fire and Emergency Services and Minister for Corrective Services; Mr Tim Nicholls MP, Leader of the Opposition and Shadow Minister for Arts and Major Events; Mr Tim Mander MP, Shadow Minister for Police, Fire and Emergency Services and Shadow Minister for Corrective Services; Mr David Janetsky MP, Member for Toowoomba South; Mr Trevor Watts MP, Member for Toowoomba North, Senator Pauline Hanson; Mr John McVeigh MP, Federal Member for Groom; Mr David Littleproud MP, Federal Member for Maranoa; the Honourable Paul Antonia, Mayor, Toowoomba Regional Council; Mr Jason Cook, Deputy Mayor, Lockyer Valley Regional Council; Bishop Robert McCucken, Catholic Bishop of the Toowoomba Diocese; Bishop Cameron Venables, Anglican Bishop for the Western Region; leaders of the Toowoomba Interfaith Working Group; Commissioner Ian Stewart; Deputy Commissioners Peter Martin, Brett Pointing and Stephen Golcheski, and Executive Leadership Team of the Queensland Police Service; Commissioners, Deputy Commissioners and Assistant Commissioners from New South Wales, Victoria, South Australia, Western Australia, Tasmania, Northern Territory and the Australian Federal Police; representatives from New Zealand Police and the New York Police Department; Commissioner Katarina Carroll, Deputy Commissioners and Executive Leadership Team of Queensland Fire and Emergency Services; Deputy Commissioner Craig Emery, Queensland Ambulance Service; Queensland Directors General, Mr Alan McSporran, Chairperson of the Crime and Corruption Commission. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is the Reverend Jeff Bales and I am one of the police chaplains with the Queensland Police Service in this state. And with my colleagues this morning, we are conducting this funeral service for Brett Andrew Forte. Today we gather as a state to mourn with a family that has lost their loved one. Would you please be upstanding as the colour party now enter? Ladies and gentlemen, please be seated. Ladies and gentlemen, we gather not only in and around this auditorium, but right around the state of Queensland to honour the life and legacy of Brett Andrew Forte, 40 to his mates. He was a man who loved life and was committed to the highest degree in fulfilling his role as a senior constable within the Tactical Crime Squad of the Queensland Police Service. However, more importantly, Brett was a husband to his wife Susie, a father to his children Emma, Brody and Sam, a son to Stuart and Heather, a brother to Chris and Luke, a brother-in-law, an uncle, a mate and a good friend of many. You didn't have to be around Brett long to know that he was committed to his family. This was the centre of his life. And I can attest to that in the 9 days since Brett's passing. This has indeed been evidence. And so on behalf of the family, they would like me to express their sincere thank you for your attendance today and viewing of this funeral. I would now like to invite the Reverend Peter Devenish-Mears to come and pray our opening prayer.
Gracious God, you know the Queensland community and you draw close to it. It is united in grief, but in care and love also. We gather here in your presence to remember, to share, to take leave of Brett and to give thanks for his noble service. You know how much we esteem and honour his work. He gave his all looking after his community. Assure us that you are close to each of us as we mourn. Comfort Brett's dear family and all his esteemed colleagues. You know that they will always serve with honour. As we gather and remember and hear your promises, help us to trust in them and to accept the comfort they offer. As we grieve for Brett and care for one another, deepen our faith in your goodness and in your mercy and enable us to always serve those who stand in need of care. May we be sustained by your abundant peace. We ask this prayer through Christ our Lord. Amen.
Victoria Edwards is a very good friend of the Morris family, of Susie's side of the family. And we'd like to invite her to come and perform to us a song entitled simply Psalm 23. Thank you, Victoria.
Tenderly leads my soul, he restores, and the right path I take. He abundantly blesses for his own name's sake. He leads through the valley of death's darkest gloom, but because he's beside me, I shall not fear doom. his rod and his staff my security. He guides and protects me devotedly. The one perfect house he graciously cares, while my foes are restrained and a feast he prepares. The Lord fills my cup with his own rarest wine, and anoints me with perfume as I come and dine. Has Lord my prosperity all my life long. His unfailing kindness will be my sweet song, and in my Lord's mansions forever I'll be, with fullness and joyful eternity, for eternity.
Thank you, Victoria. Ladies and gentlemen, we come to the time of family tribute. And to lead us in our first family tribute, I'd like to invite Brett's wife, Susie, and her daughter Emma to the stage to share their tribute of Brett.
Firstly, thank you to the community of Queensland and Australia for the support you have given to my family over the last week. In particular, many kind gestures of respect demonstrated at sporting events all over Australia last weekend. Brett would have absolutely loved all the attention. I also thank the community for many random acts of kindness given to so many of our police throughout Queensland over the last week. As a community, you should be very proud of the officers you serve. Thank you to my police family for all the support that you have provided to me over the last week, and I know who will continue to support me for the years to come. Thank you to those first responders who were with Brett when he passed. It gives me great comfort to know that he was with close friends, particularly his work wife, Kath, when he passed. Police officers have been by Brett's side since his passing, maintain a 24-hour vigil, and whilst this gives me great comfort to know he has not been alone, it also demonstrates the strength of our police family. I'd also like to thank my immediate family who have been by my side from day one, not just in the last week. Brett loved you all, and he was immensely proud to be known as one of the 4 boys. And following his dad and grandfather's footsteps of being a policeman, you were all his everything. And finally, to my wonderful husband, Brett, you were a fantastic husband to me and father to our children. I promise to raise our children with the values you held dear. I will miss your inappropriate comments that always made me laugh so much. You were my hero and my soulmate, and I will love you forever.
What is a hero? A hero is anyone who can show courage when faced with a problem. A hero is a person who is able to help another in various ways. A person can become a hero by saving someone who is in danger. Another example of a hero is someone who is there to help others and gives them strength to go through life's difficulties. A hero can be someone who gave up his or her life so another could live. This definition is a pure example of my dad, Brett Forte. At the young age of 28, Brett displayed to me that anyone can be a father, but it takes a real man to be a dad. Brett made all the difference in my life, and I'm so incredibly grateful for being a part of his for the past 13 years. Brett believed in me when I didn't even believe in myself. Whenever I was in a troubled situation, I would confide in him. No matter the situation, he would always reach out with a helping hand and a heartwarming smile. He has taught me so many divine qualities and shaped me into the person I am today. Brett, to the world you may be one person, but to our family you were the world. Rest in peace, my guardian angel, fly high.
There's a weight to the ultimate sacrifice that this family has experienced. I'd now like to invite Chris and Luke, Brett's brothers, to come and read letters written by their parents and to share a poem. Thanks, gentlemen.
My beautiful Brady, I recall vividly the night you were born. You were in such a rush to get here, from start to finish, 3/4 an hour. You suffered so badly from colic. I used to wonder if I'd brought the right kid home, as Chris had been so placid. We spent many a night sitting on the couch, you and I, with your legs tucked up under you from the pain. After 5 months of you suffering, we found that magic elixir. Same recipe as Brody and Sam had when they were little, a chemist's own recipe. They deserve a medal for putting that mixture together. We were home a few days when we were invited next door to the Lancasters for afternoon tea, and we introduced you to the boys. Your adopted brothers is Brett Andrew, and they just looked at us and said, "You told us he was going to be Virgil Merry." So hence, your Facebook page was born. Those boys never called you Brett, always Virg. When you were 18 months old, we went to Kmart to have pixie photos done, and you screamed your head off all the way around Kmart. The poor pixie photo girl, she said, "Just take him for a walk and come back. It will be okay." Chris said to me, "Mummy, will this child ever stop bawling?" At 3 years old, your hero status began when you pulled your cousin Kylie out of Grandad Forte's fish pond. She had fallen in head first. You were always a bit cheesed off that she was taller than you, still is. You started playing hockey at age 4, as the Fort kids did, and you always excelled at that too, and made some lifelong friends, but you didn't enjoy it as much as Chris and Luke did. At age 8, you decided to do taekwondo as well as hockey, and you were good at it. You found another sport to excel in. I remember you practicing for a tournament, doing flying side kicks, and broke your wrist. The day you were going for your grading to 2nd degree black belt, you came to me and said, "Mum, I can't do this. I'm not good enough." And I replied, "Brett, just have a go." And as usual, you just blitzed the field and romped it in, and Master Daha was so proud of you. I remember when you and Dad started the Thai Fit class at the gym on High Street. You worked those people so hard, but all, with no exception, rocked up again week after week for your torture sessions. And then later on, there was the girlfriend roast, when a new girl was introduced to the family. When one of the girls came for dinner, I'd cooked a lovely lamb roast, your favourite. We sat down to eat, and you said, "Oh, sorry, Mum, I forgot to tell you, Ali's a vegetarian." Over the years, you had many and varied jobs, but your heart was always set on being a police officer. So it was with great pride and joy we watched you graduate. I always knew you were destined to be a police officer, and from what I have been told, you excelled at that as well. During your early 20s, you had some dark moments, and it was back to the sofa for some long nights together. But as usual, you came through it and managed to help others along the way as you understood their pain. I recall telling you of finding this Aussie prayer amongst your Sunday school paperwork. It goes this way: "It's me again, Lord. I come every day just to talk to you and learn how to pray. You make me feel welcome. You hold out your hand. I never be afraid, for you understand." Your life was complete when you met our beautiful Susie, and our Em had Brody, and then married your perfect match. 6 years later, along came our gorgeous Sam, your perfect clone. My heart breaks when I think about how you loved our family Christmas, but you will always be there with us, and your place at the table will be set. I have to tell you how much your dad and I, your brothers, sister-in-law, nephews and nieces love you, and will never get over your loss. Part of my heart and soul is lost. We lost you so much, our beautiful funny clown. Until we meet again, I remain your loving mum, Feather Henry. I want to publicly thank Brett's workmates and all who were there with him when he passed, and ask that they be recognised for their bravery. Without them, we would all be lost. Evil will only survive if good men do nothing.
A letter from Stuart Forte to his son, Brett Andrew Forte. Brett, first let me tell you how proud I am. I'm proud of all 3 of my sons, but your actions on the 29th of May 2017 makes my heart swell so much it could break out of my chest. When you were young, I loved the cheeky way you spoke, but you soon learned to tone it down when I was on night work. When I got home from work, I would yell at you kids to get your bikes off the driveway and put your toys away. I know it was your voice calling out from the house to take my anti-cranky tablets. When you were 16, you were elected prefect at the Clontarf High School. Your grandma was so proud. She made me take her to your investiture. I know you and your mates rigged that election. I just don't know how you did it. I was proud of all of you boys when you started martial arts. It was so expensive. I had to start my own club just to save money. I was very proud when you passed your second degree black belt exam. When Marissa was chosen to fight in the World Championships in Rome, she was so good, no one would fight her. So you came back to class to push her around and tone her skills. I'm really sorry that the 16-year-old girl beat the living daylights out of you. Many years later, you were performing special duty at the Morayfield Tavern, which was a pretty tough place, and the 16-year-old girl had grown up and was proud of you in your shiny uniform. She announced to the whole pub, she would beat the living daylights out of anyone who touched the cop. I was so proud of you when you were sworn in as a constable and became our third generation to serve the community. I remember when you introduced us to Susan and Emma, and I've seen your love grow over the years. I know how you love Susan with all of your heart, and she loves you back with all her being. I bumped into Kath the other night, and she was with her family and friends. We hugged and we cried, and I swear blind her dad nearly broke all my bones when he hugged me so tight. Your mother always kissed and gave you a hug when we parted. I probably haven't done that since you were 8. I wish I could have done that one last time, but I know what you would have said if I had have tried to do it. You know I was always there for you, and Susie told me you often spoke of our special bond. Not that either of us would ever say it out loud. I've seen the deep love you share with Susie, the love and dedication you gave to Emma, Brodie and Sam. You know that I will spend the rest of my days making sure that they have the best life we can make for them. You have made us so proud. I love you so much, your dad.
Chris and I have done a poem for Brett.
I'd just like to read that out for you now. Our brother is wearing blue on blue. He is now on heaven's beat. We know this is true. Our brother fought for you and I, while we were at home trying not to cry.
His honour, his strength, he can't take away, but it's his courage that carries us through each day. He was here to serve us, all so proud, and we will sing his praises oh so loud.
Your heart was big, your humour was gold. Your beautiful memories will never grow old. Everyone normal would choose a beanie, not our Bretty, it was a green mankini.
With hammer in hand and a drill in the other, you build a family of 3 kids and their beautiful mother. We will make sure your family is loved and loved them more until we all meet again at heaven's door. Your title of hero forever preserved. He was our brother, with honour he served.
Guys, thanks for honouring your parents in that way. You told me you couldn't write a poem. Great job, thank you. Thank you. Now I'd like to invite Jeff Lancaster to come and read the eulogy. Jeff grew up with these boys, good friends, neighbours, and many stories I hear. So, Jeff, thank you.
I stand before you today, a representative of a family in grief. Not one family, but many. Families defined by love, blood, sport, connection and courage. Families united by our love, admiration and respect for one man, Brett Andrew Forte. Brett was a lovable larrikin in the true Australian tradition. He was a son, a brother, a friend, an uncle, a teammate, a colleague, a father, a husband. And in each of these relationships, he was selfless and considerate. He was giving, he was loving. The common thread that is delicately woven through the fabric of all Brett's relationships, though, is humour. And it is this humour that connects many of us to this wonderful human being. Speak to his school friends, like Bryce, his sports colleagues, like Brett or Mark, his police colleagues and his family, and they will each have similar stories to share about Brett's sense of humour. He was bawdy, he was self-deprecating, he was sarcastic, and as Hannah reminded us on the drive over here, he was bloody funny. But he also had a serious side, a side that was committed to serving and protecting the people of Queensland. I've known Brett since he was born. I watched him grow from a child into a young man. I watched as he worked hard to become a cop, something he'd wanted since he was a boy. His grandfather was a cop, his father was a cop, his uncle was a cop. It was a family that he was destined and determined to join. Family meant everything to Brett, and if you were fortunate enough to be part of his family in any context, then you considered yourself blessed. His parents, Heather and Stu, are amazing people. They've raised 3 equally beautiful, caring and loving boys, and they have each raised equally beautiful families. As much as he loved his family, his friends and the job, though, Brett found his true purpose with Susie, and here in Toowoomba he found a home. When his brothers Chris and Luke and his parents Heather and Stu speak about Brett, the thing they say most often is how much he loves Susie, and how absolutely devoted he was to Emma, Brodie and Sam. We cannot begin to understand that loss. And if it is loss that teaches us about the worth of things, then we can clearly see from today how valuable Brett Forte was to our community. To Susie, Emma, Brodie and Sam, on behalf of your blood family, your blue family and your extended family, we make a solemn pledge. We will be there to hold you, to help you, to support you whenever you need us, because that's what families do. I'd like to finish with the last verse of St. Michael's prayer for police. And when we lay down our nightsticks and roll us in your heavenly force, where we will be as proud to guard the throne of God as we have been to guard the city of all the people. Thank you.
Thanks, Jeff. If Shane's present, if he could come forward, please. In funerals like this, it's all too easy for us to forget the response of the children. And before we show a photographic tribute of Brett, which we'll transition straight into, we're going to give an opportunity for Emma, Brodie and Sam to respond to their dad. Thank you.
Another turning point, a fork stuck in the road. Time grabs you by the wrist, directs you where to go. So make the best of this test and don't ask why. It's not a question but a lesson learned in time. It's something unpredictable, but in the end is right. I hope you had the time of your life. So take the photographs and still frames in your mind, hanging on a shelf in good health and good time. Tattoos and memories and dead skin on trial. For what it's worth, it was worth all the while. It's something unpredictable, but in the end is right. I hope you had the time of your life. Something unpredictable, but in the end it's right. I hope you had the time of your life. It's something unpredictable, but in the end is right. I hope you had the time of your life.
If the adage is true that pictures communicate 1,000 words, and I just think we saw, if you're old enough to understand this, a full set of encyclopedias. I'd like to ask Stu Ford, Brett's dad, if he'd come and read the readings that the family have chosen for today. Thank you, mate.
The first reading from the Bible is the book of Isaiah 6, verses 8. Also I heard the voice of the Lord saying, "Whom shall I send, and who will go for us?" Then I said, "Here I am, send me." The Gospel of St. John 3, verses 16 and 17. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whoever believeth in him should not perish, but have everlasting life. For God did not send his Son into the world to condemn the world, but the world through him might be saved. The Gospel of St. John 15, verses 12 to 14. This is my commandment, that you love one another as I have loved you. Greater love has no man than this, than to lay down one's life for his friends. You are my friends if you do whatever I command you. This is the word of the Lord.
The last 9 days there's been many opportunities to meet with the family and to share stories and to walk past our police memorial. I would encourage you, if you haven't done that yet, to take a drive up Neil Street and see the testimony of our community to Brett. Last week, as I was walking down past the memorial, this mother with her young child, probably young boy, probably no more than 5 or 6, stopped me and said, "Excuse me, could my son speak with you?" I said, "Yes, that's fine." I got down and I talked with him and he said, "Excuse me, sir, excuse me, as 4 or 5, 6-year-old boys do. I just want to come and put these flowers here today and say thank you. Sir, can you say thank you for me?" So on behalf of that little boy, thank you. On Monday, I walked down Neil Street again and I watched a busload of local residents from one of our nursing homes cross the street with a pink carnation and a handwritten card. An officer also spoke to me this week and said that a lady came to her in a local coffee shop and said, "Can you say thank you?" As she recounted a story of how it was Brett. She remembered his face. It was Brett that saved her life. From the youngest to the oldest, right around our state and across our nation, we come together as one to mourn the loss of a man who lost his life to a mindless, senseless and pure act of evil. And this has not only touched the lives of many people who are gathered here today or outside or are viewing this service on TV, but it's touched the lives of a generation to come in Brett and Susie's children. And we're drawn here today to not only pay tribute to Brett, but also because of an inexpressible desire that we have to show our love and support to the family, because there's a deep call, a deep conviction inside each one of us that justice must be upheld in our community. And can I express it this way, that through our expression of emotion and through our desire for justice to be upheld, we are gathered here today around one word, and that is the word of love. For love has at one end of its definition the expression of emotion, but at the other end it has a deep conviction that it will always do what's right. It will act justly. One without the other is weak or overbearing. Perhaps our moral compasses at this time are best guided not by our reaction to what's happened, but perhaps we can learn something from God Himself. In the readings that the family chose and that Stuart has just read for us, we read these words from the sacred text: "This is my commandment, that you love one another as I have loved you." The love that God invites us to receive both is loving emotion and loving justice in perfect balance. It's not just a religious practice, but a personal, spiritual relationship. I've been assured by many people in the last week who've come and said, "Padre, you know, I don't normally pray, but somehow it just feels like the right thing to do." Can I suggest, God doesn't sit in heaven waiting for us to shoot a prayer through His window from time to time. In fact, God has an open door policy where we can enter and know Him and come and go and find personal comfort in times of sadness like this as much as we can in our normal, everyday life. Because loving emotion, and loving justice are held in perfect balance. Stuart read these words to us from the Gospel of St John. For God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whoever believes in him should not perish but have everlasting life. For God did not send his Son into the world to condemn the world, but that the world through him might be saved. It's nothing that we do, it's something that we receive. Our humanity is constructed of a body, a mind and a soul. In the balance of our emotion of love, to uphold justice and to express emotion, can I encourage you through this time of grief and loss as we mourn the passing of Brett to look after each area of your life. Look after your bodies in the normal activities of life. For those of us who are grieving and mourning, watch out for each other. Assist each other. Look after our minds. Please don't be afraid to ask for help if you need it. But also look after our souls and accept the invitation that God offers to us through his Son Jesus. For we come as we are, not as we should be, into his presence. It's really easy to find ourselves asking the unanswerable questions of why. Why has this happened? And becoming angry. But can I suggest there is no comfort in the dry space of that question? So may I give this closing thought. A better question is to ask is how? How blessed were we to have Brett? How blessed were we to know Brett? How blessed were we to see an exemplary officer stand up for his community at such a high price? How great was it that Brett made the most of his life? Please allow the how questions to comfort you at this time. Today, as family, as Queensland Police, and as the State of Queensland, we unite around you, Susie, Emma, Brody and Sam, and the family. We unite around you and express our thoughts, our prayers, our comfort, and by our presence here today, know our love and support for you all. Thank you. We have a number of people today who have come to express their condolences, and I'd like to invite, representing the Prime Minister of Australia, Mr Malcolm Turnbull, I would like to invite the Honourable Peter Dutton MP, Minister for Immigration and Border Protection, to come and speak on his behalf. Thank you, sir.
A message from the Prime Minister. Senior Constable Brett Forte. I was deeply shocked to hear of the death of Senior Constable Brett Forte and want to offer my sincere condolences to his family, to his friends, his colleagues and the community on this very sad day. Everything we hold dear, the safety of our families, the security of our homes and our communities, our democracy itself, depends on the rule of law which our police services uphold. We honour the bravery and commitment of every police officer who selflessly serves to keep their fellow Australians safe. Brett Forte's 15 years in the Queensland Police Service symbolise all that we admire and respect in our police officers. He served with utmost distinction and dedication and integrity, a fact attested to by the many tributes offered by his colleagues and the overwhelming support shown by the Toowoomba community. Brett's untimely passing has clearly touched people across our nation, from workmates and fellow officers to friends, neighbours and total strangers, reminding us keenly of the injustice of his death and the debt of gratitude we owe to his service. In offering this message, I hope that these thoughts and the good wishes of the Australian people bring some comfort and encouragement to Brett's loved ones as they come to terms with his irreplaceable loss. I also hope they feel great pride, as I do, in the contribution that Brett made to our society through his commitment to policing. On behalf of the government, I thank Senior Constable Forte and honour him for his service. My thoughts and prayers are with his wife Susie, daughter Emma and sons Brodie and Sam, as well as his extended family and friends and the entire police community during this very difficult time. Signed, Malcolm Turnbull, Prime Minister of Australia.
Thank you, Minister. I'd like to invite the Premier of Queensland, the Honourable Anastasia Palaszczuk, to please come forward and address us.
I didn't know Brett Forte. I didn't know he joined the Queensland Police Service in 2001 and that he was a senior constable in the Tactical Crime Squad here in Toowoomba. And I certainly didn't know why he was taken from his family and friends. But I do know that more Queenslanders than Brett could ever have known wish to pay tribute to him and reach out to his grieving family. Because we know Brett made a commitment as an officer of the Queensland Police Service to keep us safe. And we know he paid the ultimate sacrifice doing that for us. Today we offer our tribute to Brett, the husband, the father, the brother and the son. To Susie and their children, Emma, Brodie and Sam, we extend to you our deepest sympathies. We would give all that we have for Brett to be back with you today. To Stuart and Heather, we thank you for your precious son. You raised a boy, as Stuart said, with blonde hair and greeny blue eyes, to be a man with a heart of gold. From a family dedicated to service, Brett was a third-generation police officer, following in Stuart's footsteps and working proudly in the same QPS as Susie, his wife. Brett was respected by his colleagues and he was awarded for his service. To the police family, you are close, and you have drawn even closer to embrace the Forte family. Today we also think of Brett's colleagues and his partner, Senior Constable Kath Nielsen, who risked her own life on that tragic day. Your loss is our loss. When Stuart was asked what advice he would give to new recruits of the Queensland Police Service, he said, "You'll be looked after and the community will be looked after. And now this has happened, the community is looking after us." On behalf of that community, this close-knit community here in Toowoomba, including Brett's friends from hockey and taekwondo, we pay our tribute today and we offer our support in the weeks, months and years ahead. In doing so, we recognise the courage of every police officer and every other servant of the Queensland people that faces danger so we can avoid it. We also recognise that as Queenslanders we can be confident in the knowledge that our sworn officers are duty-bound to uphold the law and to protect us from those who seek to harm. On behalf of the people of Queensland, I want to pass on our heartfelt condolences and prayers at this time of tragic loss and express our gratitude for Brett's courage, commitment and dedication to service. Today we give thanks and honour the life of Brett Forte.
It's my privilege to welcome Queensland Police Service Commissioner Ian Stewart to present the valedictory to us today.
I acknowledge the traditional owners of this place and pay my respects to all cultures represented in this room here today. His Excellency the Honourable Paul de Jersey AC, Governor of Queensland and Mrs Kay de Jersey, the Honourable Anastasia Palaszczuk MP, Premier of Queensland and Minister for Arts, the Honourable Peter Dutton MP, our Minister, the Honourable Mark Ryan MP, members of federal, state and local government, and specifically local Mayor Paul Antonio, a great friend of the Queensland Police Service, to Susie, Brett's beloved wife, to Brett's daughters and sons, Emma, Brodie and Sam, Brett's parents, Stu and Heather Forte, to Brett's brothers, Chris and Luke, and their families, to Susie's parents, Gavin and Janelle, and their extended family, to our chaplains, distinguished guests, particularly the commissioners and representatives from all Australian and New Zealand jurisdictions and partner federal agencies, to Brett's extended family and friends, and I know that there is a huge number of you here today, to my colleagues in the Queensland Police Service, and in particular can I mention the presidents of both our unions, Brian Wilkins and Ian Levers. Ladies and gentlemen, it is with immense pride that I am here today representing the Queensland Police Service, not just those that you see in this room or the many more who stand outside listening to this service, but to all the thousands of other men and women who are out there now protecting our great state, who, if they had the choice, would be here with us paying respects to our fallen colleague, Brett Andrew Forte. He bravely served the community of Queensland and our organisation with great integrity and passion, as you've already heard. Brett was born in Redcliffe on the 25th of August 1975 to Stuart and Heather. As we've heard, he attended high schools and schools in the Redcliffe area, and he demonstrated an early talent for hockey and excelled as a player and a team member. Brett was also an accomplished martial artist, achieving the rank of second-degree black belt in his chosen style of Taekwondo. Whilst undertaking tertiary studies, Brett was employed as a construction industry technician before making the decision to join the Queensland Police Service. Brett's family has a long and proud history with the Queensland Police Service, as both his father and grandfather were serving officers, his father retiring as an operational senior sergeant. At 26 years of age, Brett entered the Queensland Police Service Academy as a recruit in May of 2001. He was sworn in on the 27th of November 2001 and was initially stationed at Ipswich, where he undertook 12 months of various duties as a first-year constable. Brett demonstrated a natural aptitude for police work, impressing his supervisors early in his career as a hard-working and motivated officer, and from a very early stage he became known for his quick wit and a cracking sense of humour. Upon completion of his training, Brett transferred to Cunnamulla, undertaking duties in an often challenging and isolated environment before transferring back to Toowoomba general duties in 2003. It was during this time that Brett met his partner and fellow officer Susie. They married in September of 2012. Brett was a calm, confident and measured officer who developed a strong aptitude for road policing, and I'm sure this was encouraged by his dad. His ability to lift the morale and camaraderie of his colleagues through humour was well known. In 2006, as his reputation grew, coupled with his broad skill set and strong work ethic, Brett was selected to perform duties in the Toowoomba Tactical Crime Squad. In 2009, Brett and his family moved to Caboolture for a period to be closer to family before returning to Toowoomba and the TAC Crime Squad in 2012, a position and a squad that he was dedicated to. With great enthusiasm and ability, Brett regularly relieved as a squad team leader. He understood his job, but perhaps more importantly, he understood his role as a leader and squad mentor. During his career, Brett proved himself as a talented all-round police officer. He undertook varied duties, including natural disaster, major event and public order response, specialised road policing duties and investigative and tactical deployments. He could adapt to any policing situation and in doing so, developed his skills in leading and guiding junior staff. Brett leaves a far-reaching legacy on the Queensland Police Service and on the communities that he served. He will be remembered by the many victims and families to whom he showed compassion and support. More so, Brett will be remembered for his ultimate sacrifice and his selfless act of valour in protecting and preserving the lives of his colleagues. Brett taught us lessons in mateship and family. He treated others with respect and was a principled, respected and professional police officer whose opinion and advice was provided to subordinates, peers and management, whether they wanted it or not. Brett's open and genuine character endeared him to all he came in contact with, and he embodied qualities we most value as an organisation. As we recall Brett's history today, we acknowledge the place Brett will always occupy in the history of our organisation. Brett's professionalism was recognised by the following awards: the Queensland Police Service Medal and the Queensland Flood and Cyclone Citation, both in 2011, the Queensland Police Service 150-year citation in 2014, and the 15-year class to the Queensland Police Service Medal in 2016, the G20 citation in 2016. While Brett's dedication to duty was never in question, his dedication to his family was complete. The importance of family life to Brett, his love for and pride in the achievements of his partner Susie and children Emma, Brodie and Sam was always clear. It is heartening to acknowledge that the grief we, Brett's colleagues, are experiencing has been echoed by the reaction of the community, our colleagues throughout Australia and police departments across the world. Brett was a friend and colleague taken from us too soon. He was a man of courage, professionalism and unfailing decency. Brett gave his life so that others could live. While his life was full, it was far too short. Today we say farewell to our friend Brett. He served with honour, and it is we who are honoured to have known and served with him. And finally, it is with pride I announce the awarding of the Queensland Police Service Valour Award to Brett for his actions on the 29th of May 2017 in protecting his colleagues and our community. It is my great honour to present this Valour Award, as well as Brett's National Medal and National Police Service Medal, to Susie and the Forte family here today. I also present our flag, the Queensland Police Service flag, to Susie as a symbol of Brett's sacrifice to the community and our great organisation. Rest in peace, our friend and colleague. Thank you.
I'd now like to invite Assistant Commissioner Tony Wright from the Southern Region to come and lead us in the ode. Thank you, sir.
Colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, please stand. As the sun surely sets, dawn will see it arise. For service above self demands its own prize. You have fought the good fight. Life's race has been run. And peace your reward for eternity begun. And we that are left shall never forget. Rest in peace, friend and colleague, for the sun has now set. We will remember. With honour he served. Thank you. Please be seated.
I'll now recite the Lord's Prayer. You're welcome to join me if you wish, and if you want to recite aloud with me, the words will be on the screens, and you can also find them in your program if you have one. Let me pray as Jesus taught. Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. Amen.
Ladies and gentlemen, we are coming to the end of our ceremony and our service, our funeral for Brett today. There's just one announcement I'd like to read to you, and then after which time the banner party will enter, and I will give an instruction for that. I'd like to make you aware that after the conclusion of our service, that all current serving members of the Queensland Police in attendance will form an honour guard along Baker Street. This is our final public tribute to Brett before the family attends a private graveside service. We would like to invite you to respectfully remain present until the hearse and ensuing cortege have travelled the full length of the honour guard. Ladies and gentlemen, would you please be upstanding as the colour party now enters.
And as you can see there, Brett Forte is being taken out of the Clive Berghofer Recreation Centre here in Toowoomba as we bid farewell to this senior constable who served the community so well. And Bill, that was such a touching funeral in there today, wasn't it? Some emotional scenes, particularly when we saw the children place that white teddy on Brett's casket. And it will travel with him, obviously, to a private burial, which will take place after this. But, of course, there will also be a guard of honour. This is where the police really honour their fallen heroes. There will be a guard of honour that takes place now. And we understand that the Police Commissioner will stand by at the back of the hearse and he will salute Brett Forte, and he will maintain that salute until the end of the Guard of Honour. And I understand the Guard of Honour could stretch for about 1 kilometre. It'll go all the way down Baker Street into West Street, and we're just standing by for that to take place now. And the family, I guess, will get a chance too to say goodbye now, won't they, as they see the coffin placed into the hearse.
Yes, it was a fitting service today, Sharon, for Brett Forte, and as difficult as it was for his family, it was a wonderful tribute for them, and they'll have some private time, I believe, as well before maybe just before the Guard of Honour begins, to spend some time with the coffin and the hearse before it makes its way out onto Baker Street. And we do understand there's some 85 bikes. Every section of the police service will be represented today in this honour guard. As you mentioned, about 1 kilometre long. Some officers has already started to make their way out to the road.
Motorcyclists there, you can see them there. And also, Bill, mounted police officers, I think there'll be 7 officers on horseback. The dog squad, 50 dogs, will be represented here today from around the state. And also the police helicopter will be involved in this Guard of Honour. We understand it's the first time that Pol Air has been involved in a motorcade like this, a funeral procession as such. And it will do a ceremonial fly past as Brett Forte's coffin is passes through that honour guard today.
And of course, particular relevance with the Pol Air, as they were involved in the incident where Brett lost his life, and they were over the top of that unfortunate incident. So particular relevance for them being part of the Guard of Honour today from above. As we see 85, Bluey O'Gorman tells us 85 bikes.
It's a line of blue, isn't it there? A line of blue.
Certainly is, and officers in the spillover seats are starting to make their way out to the road now on Baker Street. So serving and non-serving officers are invited to take up a position alongside the side of the road. They'll be lining up along the white lines to provide a chute for the hearse to make its way to a private burial service, which the family will attend only. Yeah. It'll be a wonderful send-off for Brett.
It will be, Bill. And we understand, of course, that following the hearse will be the chief mourner's car, and the family will be in that car. The chaplain will also follow the hearse. And we also understand that the officer in charge of the Toowoomba Tactical Crime Squad, he will represent Brett's work unit, and he will carry a cushion with Brett's citations and medals behind the hearse. And also we understand that one of the police officers from the Helidon Police Station, representing those first responders that were with Brett on the day, they will carry a photograph of him behind the hearse. So it's going to be a very, very sad time coming up, and we're going to take a short break, but we'll return soon with the Guard of Honour for Brett Forte.
There's news that needs to be reported.
In total, 5 suspects have now been taken into custody in relation to the series of break-ins in Mackay and the Northern Beaches.
Your news first.
A GoFundMe page has been set up to help save the Palmyra Speedway.
Queensland's #1.
Cleaning the tub is a back-breaking chore, and you can scrub your tiles, but it always needs more. There has to be an easier way. From the makers of the best-selling Hurricane Spin Mop comes the all-new Hurricane Spin Scrubber, the new cordless and rechargeable power scrub brush that cleans faster and easier. Even these dirty old tiles are no match for Spin Scrubber, blasting right through the grime, sparkly and clean every time. It makes quick work of calcium, soap and hard water stains. Clear and clean in seconds. The secret is the rotating brush, spinning at 300 RPM. The incredible torque can bust through any caked-on crud with ease. So forget harsh chemicals. Now restore the shine and lustre to any surface in a flash. And you'll never need batteries because it comes with the latest rechargeable technology. Forget bending and straining to clean the tub because you'll get this extension pole free. Now you can easily reach down into the tub to power away stains or into the shower to clean mouldy grout and tiles, even to clean those areas you couldn't normally reach. And we're not done yet. You'll also get this free soft flex cone brush that fits perfectly into corners. There's no easier way to get taps sparkling clean. Also use it to blast away the burnt mess on cooktops, even get into tiny crevices on the fridge door, or best of all, those hard-to-reach shower door rails. Call Global Shop Direct or go online and order your very own Hurricane Spin Scrubber for the special low price on your screen now. You'll get the complete Hurricane Spin Scrubber system, including the multi-purpose brush, extension pole and the soft cone flex brush, so you'll never miss another hard-to-reach crevice or corner again. You can't completely clean those large surface areas effectively without a flat brush. That's why we're including an extra large flat brush free. Use it around the rusty sink drain or to bust through the dirt on the shower floor. And there's no better way to power through the oven door grime, so it wipes off in no time. The Hurricane Spin Scrubber is the cleaning tool every home needs. But if for any reason you're not satisfied with your purchase, just send it back within 30 days for a full refund of the product price. Nobody likes to get on their hands and knees to clean. Make those hard to reach and even back-breaking chores easy with the Hurricane Spin Scrubber. Order yours now.
5 houses.
You absolutely nailed that.
5 reveals.
Everything you did, I loved it.
All in one incredible night.
He's wearing a fun suit, but he's not in a fun mood.
My heart's going a million miles an hour.
What you did was the worst thing you can do. You totally blew it.
Will this be their elimination? New House Rules. Sunday at 7.
Stop. No. You need to calm down. Sir, stop.
What's got him in such a sweat? New Border at its best. Then, a global smuggling network taken down by the force after New Border tonight.
Live scenes from the funeral of Senior Constable Brett Forte as police, hundreds and hundreds of police, forming a guard of honour down Baker Street as we await the official procession to the cemetery for Brett and his family, and all the police officers lining up down the edge of the road here. And of course the police commissioner, as you mentioned earlier, Sharon, will stand at the head of the guard of honour and salute, and he'll maintain that until the hearse passes the last police officer standing in line. Now there's about 1 kilometre long, so there's quite a journey for the current and non-current officers that are forming part of this guard of honour. Those who are in uniform will salute, and those in plain clothes, detectives and former police, will place their hand over the heart. Each officer will drop their salute or hands over the heart as the hearse moves past them. And again, the Commissioner will maintain his salute from the very start. So there are going to be some poignant moments and images here we will see after that very moving funeral service.
Yeah. Of course, the Guard of Honour will be led there by the police motorcyclists, and then, of course, we'll have the mounted unit after that and the dog squad. We understand some 50 dogs will be involved in this procession. This will be the largest funeral procession that Toowoomba has ever seen, Bill, and you can just see by the pictures there that you're seeing right now the extraordinary number of police officers, both serving and former police officers, that are forming part of this Guard of Honour. It's quite extraordinary scenes here today, and we do owe Brett Forte so much when you think about what he did in his 15 years as a police officer. He served the community well. He was an officer who everyone said was very dedicated and professional, and I think that's why there is such a huge turnout here today. You know, his colleagues, his friends, obviously his family, but everyone wants to say thanks for the work that he did. And he did pay, as the Premier said earlier, the ultimate sacrifice as a result of that.
And awarded, as we heard from the Police Commissioner, the Medal of Valour and also his National Medal and National Police Service medals were presented to his family. That is, of course, the Medal of Valour is the highest honour in the police service for bravery, adopted in 1993 for exceptional bravery in hazardous circumstances. And
there couldn't be a more worthy recipient of that, could there be?
We're very proud of that. And the line that we can see from where we are in our position here, it's 2 and 3, 4 deep in some spots. So
there were
this is
some
a tremendous turnout.
5,000 people here today. We knew that there was about 2,000 seats inside the auditorium and about 3,000 outside, and there weren't too many seats left over, were there, that didn't have people sitting them in today. So the turnout has been quite extraordinary.
So you see those scenes there, Sharon. It is they're 4 and 5 deep in spots at the beginning of the where this Guard of Honour will commence, as we see the bikes in the background.
And then, of course, the police helicopter Polair will fly over a ceremonial fly past to honour their fallen colleague as well. And, of course, Brett's name will join other fallen colleagues, Bill, on the National Wall of Remembrance in Canberra. He will go on to the honour roll as an officer who served his community well. You can only imagine, Bill, how the police must be feeling today. You know, it must bring it home to them, the dangers that they put themselves in every single solitary day that they're, you know, carrying out their regular duties. And it would bring it home a moment like this, and particularly when they saw the casket carried out today.
I'm sure it does, Sharon. It's a constant reminder of the dangers they face in the community. And I think members of the community, we talked earlier about normal members of the community like you and I that have come out here, and I think it's made them realise as well that these men and women are placing themselves in harm's way every day, and it's a threat they constantly face, and they're appreciated for it. And sadly, something like this happens from time to time, and all too often, all too regular, even members.
And I think this show of support, Bill, it shows that Brett Forte isn't alone as he's being farewelled today. We heard his wife Susie in the actual funeral service say that she wanted to thank those police officers that have stood by Brett. They've maintained a vigil around him so that he's not alone as he's farewelled today, and police certainly making their presence felt today to let him know that he isn't alone.
And it's what a difficult day for those young kids and the family. We saw them, a touching moment during that service was when the young boys presented a teddy bear and the soccer ball, and so much for them to take in today.
And the daughter too, Emma, how well she spoke today, and that where she sort of, you know, asked what is a hero, and then she went through all the characteristics that make a hero. And her dad, you know, he summed up all of those characteristics. He had them all in spades. And, you know, she also recounted that that lovely the lovely line that he said to her, you know, anyone can be a father, Emma, but it takes a real man to be a dad. And that's the one thing that when I was watching that photographic tribute to Brett Forte today, Bill, you know, he wasn't just a policeman. He was a family man. There were so many pictures of him with his children, with his wife Susie, with his parents, you know, Stuart and Heather, and his extended family. And you have to remember that as we say goodbye to him today. Yes, he was a police officer. Yes, he served his community well, but it's the family that he was closest to, and it's going to be hardest for them to say goodbye to him
We
today.
saw images in the picture, the photographic tribute of the ski boat, and we believe that he only recently bought the ski boat, and he was so much looking forward to times on the ski boat, because it was something that he could do with all of the family and take the kids out and spend time together. And we heard so many stories like that about how much he treasured his family.
And his mum's letter too, you know, and his brothers read out the letters from obviously his mum and his dad, and his mum saying, you know, she couldn't be more proud when he became a police officer. And his family in all of this, you know, we've seen them at the memorial, they've spoken so eloquently. I don't know how they do it, Bill, to be honest. You know, you could imagine going to the memorial at the police station earlier in the week and last week, and to be there in front of people and to read those lovely messages of support from the community. I honestly don't know how stoic they can be, you know. It would be very difficult, I would imagine.
I don't know how they'll be anything but buoyed by when they see the images that will confront them when the hearse makes its way to the cemetery from the church here, because the police lines are still moving down Baker Street to try and grab a point in this Guard of Honour. It's going to be extraordinary.
Well, they're saying it could stretch a whole kilometre long and even further, and And the Police Commissioner, of course, he has to maintain his salute. He will salute Brett as he leaves, and he has to maintain that salute for the entire Guard of Honour. And it's going to be a tough time for the Police Commissioner. This is the first service he's had to attend as Police Commissioner where one of his officers has been murdered and killed.
He's obviously known Brett's dad, Stuart,
That's
personally,
right, yes.
and they work together, so probably difficult for the Commissioner. And I think we were starting to see that towards the end of his speech. I think he was feeling the emotion of the occasion a little bit. And of course, once we do get to the end of this Guard of Honour, then the Commissioner will drop his salute, as you suggested, Sharon, and the Parade Marshal will yell "Fallout," and that's traditionally been a role that's been filled by Bluey O'Gorman, who we spoke to earlier, for many years. So that will be a part of the role today for this Guard of Honour.
Just going back to his family, Bill, you know, Stuart Forte being a former police officer, he served for many years, I think extensive time in Petrie, was I think the last police station that he served at. But he always talked about his son as, you know, he was born to be a hero. And he said that he has had to deal with situations like this where police officers have lost their lives, but he never had to deal with it personally before. And I imagine Stuart's going to really struggle today, even though I'm sure as you know, this Guard of Honour progresses, that he will see a lot of people there that he knows, that he's served with. They'll be there, but that won't make it all that much easier, will it, to have to deal with it? Oh, there you see his partner, Kath Innes. Is that? Oh no, that's not his partner. My apologies there.
So
I was thinking of Kath Nielsen, his partner, of course, who was there on the day when this incident happened. And of course, Kath, as you remember, Bill, she was valiant too. She had to smash the windscreen of the police car that they were in.
Yeah.
She had to use her bare hands to then rip it apart to try and get Brett out, so so other police officers could get to him to try and save his life.
And they, of course, worked valiantly, and unfortunately he couldn't be revived, but amazing bravery by them as well, as you mentioned, Sharon. And it was nice to hear today from the Reverend Jeff Bales as well, as towards the end of the service, and we spoke earlier about how it's meant so much to so many people, and it was a heartwarming story when he talked about the 6-year-old that had come up to the makeshift memorial in Toowoomba and wanted to say thanks, so he had said thanks on his behalf, and the elderly woman came up with a card and she wanted to say thanks as well. And I guess that's getting back to how Brett has touched all levels of the community.
And a lot of money is also being raised too, Bill, for Brett's family, so they can continue on and get some support along the way. We know that, of course, there were officers and army personnel in Ipswich the other day, you know, raising money for the family out on the streets. And I think that generosity certainly makes them feel appreciated for what they do. There's also, of course, you can make donations for the family at any Westpac branch if you would like to give to the family, because they will need love and support into the future. And there's also, I understand, to a fundraising effort. Some of Brett's friends have got together, Bill, and they're going to offer a training session with Australia's elite hockey players, because we heard in that funeral service how Brett loved his hockey, and that will happen. And there's also a hashtag, Stick Up for Brett.
Yes,
I understand that hockey players around the nation have been taking photos and with the hashtag, putting them on social media, Stick Up for Brett. And that's a wonderful tribute to a man who's touched so many people in his short life.
Yes, he loved his sport, and I think he'd be mightily impressed with what's about to happen.
He may wonder what the fuss is all about,
yes,
as his family have said, but I think he will be impressed.
It'll be a wonderful tribute, which is not too far away, as the family spend some quiet time with the hearse and the coffin, and the Police Guard of Honour is almost in place. We'll take a short break, and we'll come back and continue our coverage, as we can hear police dogs and the bikes in the background, so we're not too far away from this Guard of Honour.
From grand finalists to bottom 4 on the ladder, Sydney's season is upside down. Now, against the Dogs, can the Swans flip the script to save their finals hopes? Then, Can the Crows fight off the Saints?
I think he's got it!
And Monday, the 3rd annual Big Freeze at the G. Join the fight against MND. Then Demons and Pies. It all begins with Thursday Night Footy, live and free on Mate.
There's a new way to inflate tires, sporting equipment, and more. It's called the AirHawk. The AirHawk is an amazing new cordless handheld air compressor that pulls in the outside air and then compresses it into the tire. It's fast, easy to use, and extremely convenient. You no longer need to drive to the gas station for air. You no longer need to pull out the large, bulky air compressor. You no longer need to buy those messy, expensive cans of air. The AirHawk is the most convenient, time-saving way to fill up your tires. Not only that, the AirHawk digitally reads the pressure and can be set to stop automatically when it gets to the correct tire pressure. The AirHawk can help you out of a bad situation. Traditional hand pumps are difficult to use and clumsy. The AirHawk is easier, faster, and far more efficient. The AirHawk comes with several air nozzles for a wide variety of uses. You know how frustrating it is when you have a flat ball. But with the AirHawk, flat balls are no longer a problem. In the past, blowing up inflatables such as pool toys and camping air mattresses was a hassle. With the AirHawk, that job just became much easier. The AirHawk is no cheap disposable gadget. The AirHawk is a solid, durable tool that you'll use all the time.
How much would you expect to pay to inflate tyres, sporting equipment and more? Don't answer, because here today we've worked out a very special offer for the viewers. We're so sure you'll love having your very own AirHawk. We want you to try it for 30 days risk-free for only $14.99. But wait, order today and you'll be automatically upgraded free of charge to the AirHawk Deluxe. You'll get a carrying case, car charger and a built-in LED light at no extra charge. So don't wait to order, because sooner or later you're going to need an AirHawk. So call now, 1-800-299-299. That's 1-800-299-299. This offer is not available in stores, so call now.
1, 2, 3, 4. Ways to push yourself in paradise. The annual Hamilton Island Endurance Series. Register now for the Great Whitehaven Beach Run on Sunday the 18th of June. Tackle the half marathon or take on the 10K or 5K runs along the iconic Whitehaven Beach. There are also events for kids. Entry fee includes return ferry transfers from Port of Airlie. See website for details.
Well, welcome back to our special coverage of the police funeral with full honours for Senior Constable Brett Forte, who was gunned down 10 days ago. As you can see there, we are waiting for the Guard of Honour to take place here. We've had the service that is now complete, and at this very moment, Brett's family is spending some quality time with Brett before the hearse is driven down this Guard of Honour bill, which basically stretches for about 1 kilometre, and we're expecting it could take a good half hour or so before the hearse actually makes its way down that line of blue, and then of course Brett will be buried at a private service which the family will attend. It was a very, very moving service today, what we've seen here today, and this is very moving to see so many police officers out in force to bid a final farewell to their fallen colleague who did so much for the police service in the 15 years that he was a serving member of that force.
We know the dog squad and the horses are in position, and also the motorbikes as well are standing by, and of course serving and retired police officers and staff will be lining both sides of Baker Street for about 1 kilometre in this Guard of Honour, stretching all the way possibly to West Street for those familiar with the area or living in the area. Now, following the hearse, once they begin, will be the vehicle holding Senior Constable Forte's floral tributes. That will be followed by the Chief Mourner's vehicle, which will hold, of course, Brett's wife Susie and their children, and other family vehicles will also be following as well.
And it's interesting, Bill, I was going to say, there's so many police motorcyclists there with the dog squad. We've talked about the mounted police as well. And I understand Brett's father had said that they wanted to send him off in style. Brett loved everything about the police force, and that's why they have gone to so much trouble today. There was extensive planning took place before this service took place to make sure that he was sent off in style. They wanted to give him the send-off they believed that he deserved, and that's why all those elements of the police force are included in today's Guard of Honour.
Yes, they've embraced the full offering of the full police service, and they'll have, as we've mentioned earlier, some private time at the burial site, and as they are having now around the hearse before we commence this procession.
And of course, the Toowoomba Mayor had said earlier, he had never seen such an outpouring of grief by the Toowoomba community, and these scenes certainly reflect that, don't they? I wouldn't have expected to have seen quite so many people here today, but it just shows you what an impact he has had on this local community and how much the police force is loved, admired and respected by the community, and certainly how much we want to say thank you to Brett Forte for his efforts as well.
Yes, it's a chilly day up here in Toowoomba, but everybody's out and rugged up, and they're not moving, not leaving, not going away anywhere at all. They want to be part of this, and they want to pay a tribute, and they want to witness this. And it's a beautiful sunny day up here, but it's quite cool and quite brisk, isn't it?
It is, yes. It's important to note too, Bill, that when they were organising this particular service and the Guard of Honour, they were very conscious that the family came first. I understand the family had a lot of input into this service, and that was their priority, to make sure that whatever they did today had the best wishes of the family. And that's what you're seeing unfold here today. And it is a very, very special send-off for a much-loved police officer.
We understand that the Darling Downs District Tactical Crime Squad will take order of proximity out to the left of the district officers as a mark of respect to recognise the loss of their popular work colleague. And we also understand that the remainder of the Guard of Honour, it's been structured to recognise the first responders and those officers we heard about earlier involved in the initial response on that Monday the 29th when Senior Constable Forte was killed. So that'll be a difficult time for them.
Yeah, it will be indeed. And of course this follows on from that minute's silence at the State of Origin on Wednesday night, where Brett Forte was honoured there. And of course a lot of sporting clubs on the weekends have observed a minute's silence as well, and I think some sporting clubs are wearing black armbands in recognition of Brett Forte, because he did have a love of sport. He loved his hockey. I know the Redcliffe Hockey Club, they're very much behind that, and so the tributes have been flowing
all around the nation. We saw it way back to the State of Origin. There was a tribute, and I know an AFL game on the Gold Coast on the weekend, the players wore police checkered armbands during the match. So the tributes spread far and wide around the state and around the nation, and that was also reflected by the fact that there were commissioners or police service representatives from right around the country and across to New Zealand as well in attendance here today.
Well, of course, he has been described as a genuine hero, hasn't he, Brett Forte? And I know his dad said he was a good bloke, and he does need to be remembered. And I think the community of Toowoomba and the police community have certainly made sure that he will be remembered.
So the police officers, most of them in position now, standing by and awaiting in the Guard of Honour for the procession with the hearse and mourning party to make their way out. They're all standing by. The family, obviously, no rush here. It's the family time. It's private time, and it's important time for them.
Of course, he says goodbye to two sons, Brodie 9 and Samuel 3, and his daughter Emma Morris. She's 16 years of age. And it was just so touching today when we heard Emma speak about, the man that was her dad, who gave her so much guidance. I know Emma has expressed concerns that her younger siblings won't get the guidance that she got from Brett. He obviously was very good at teaching her many things, and she respected him for that. And it was very touching today when she spoke about, what is a hero. And certainly Brett Forte was a hero in every sense of the word.
And also the two brothers, it was obviously difficult for them to speak today, but they recalled injected a little bit of humour into spots there, and reading some letters on behalf of the parents, Stuart and also Heather, And that was pretty touching. I must admit some of the comments for Stuart. And says he lost part of his heart by losing Brett. As we hear things getting close now, so 2 police bikes, perhaps.
Of course, police officers, those in uniform, will salute Brett as the hearse passes by them. Those not in uniform will place their hand over their heart, and of course they drop that hand once the actual hearse has passed them by.
So it looks like things are forming up for the official commencement in front of the Guard of Honour. One final salute for all these Queensland police officers for Senior Constable Brett Forte, I should say, beg your pardon.
It's going to be quite a noisy Guard of Honour, I think, Bill, with all those motorbikes there behind us, and of course the flyover from Polaire as the Guard of Honour comes to an end. I imagine the police community draws a lot from this as they stand side by side there in that long line of blue. I've seen some of them linking arms before. You know, that show of support is so important to them. They do such an amazing job in our community.
The bikes just making their way past our broadcast position here in Toowoomba, outside of the USQ Berghofer Recreation Centre, as the Polaire helicopters, you may be able to hear overhead, dropping down low over the parade route.
And of course, Bill, officers from Brisbane and other parts of the state have actually come here today to fill in on the shifts at Toowoomba, to make sure that all the local police officers can actually attend today's Guard of Honour. You can see Polaire there, the 2 helicopters. Now, these helicopters, of course, came into the police force out of the recommendations from the coroner after Damien Leading was shot dead on the Gold Coast 6 years ago. And this is the first time we've ever seen Polaire choppers do a fly past to say farewell to one of their fallen heroes, one of their own.
As we mentioned earlier, Polaire was involved in the incident with Senior Constable Forte. They were overhead, and they were shot at in the ensuing standoff in the 20 hours after that. So they were well and truly involved in locating the perpetrator in this case, and now involved in this Guard of Honour today with a fly past, as the police motorbikes, 85 in all, taking part. And we can also hear the pipes band begin as well. So the hearse has just began making its way out onto Baker Street. It's coming up from the church. The official honour guard in front. And things are underway.
As this Guard of Honour shows, Bill, as the Premier said as well, the people of Queensland support Brett Forte and his family, and you can see that today. It's not only police officers that are standing here in this line of blue. There are just members of the general community here as well that have stopped by to pay their respects. So they certainly have a lot of backing from members of the public here today as well. And as the Premier said to the police officers today and to the family, your loss is our loss, and that's pretty much how it feels.
It's widespread feeling right amongst the region. Accompanying the hearse will be the police pipes and drums band. They're a dedicated group of officers formed in 1958 and celebrated band part of this parade today.
There you can see the hearse carrying Brett Forte. Salute there from the officers as it passes by. His family, of course, is in the car behind the hearse. That is the Chief Mourner's car. Of course, is that photograph being carried by one of the officers from the Helidon Police Station, a local police station. And, of course, an officer also carrying his citations and medals there as well. The pipe and drum band leading the procession down Baker Street. It'll head towards West Street for this very, very solemn farewell to Senior Constable Brett Forte.
So still 2 and 3 and 4 deep in front of our broadcast position. Police officers, members of the public, all very solemn. You see the dog squad. You can hear the dog squad.
You can hear the dog squad before. Yes, there's 50 dogs there, Bill, which is an extraordinary number of dogs. And we were actually given a list of all the names of the dogs. They have all been recognised today for their service as well. And of course, the mounted police. There are 7 police officers there on horseback.
Of course, the lone drum beat leading this procession.
Of course, some of the dignitaries that we've seen here today as well, Bill, that have come to pay their respects, from the Governor of Queensland down, we saw the Premier, the Prime Minister was represented today. The nation is certainly behind Brett Forte as this Guard of Honour continues down Baker Street. And of course, Brett will be buried in a private service with his family.
5 reverends who took part in today's service as the Queensland pipes and drum band make their way past our broadcast position, followed by mounted horses. Parade continuing down west at Baker Street towards West Street.
Of course, there are significant road closures in place here as well, Bill. As we arrived this morning, we were directed to an area to park. They've had to close off this entire street to enable this Guard of Honour to take place. It stretches for about 1 kilometre, we understand. And certainly Brett Forte is being farewelled as a hero today. There's no question about that when you see all those serving police officers there saluting him as we bid him farewell.
Yes. Full honours for Brett Forte. Members of emergency services saluting. Such a wonderful tribute for an officer that was taken too soon.
It was interesting, Bill, earlier in that service when we heard Brett's wife Susie speak. Of course, she hadn't spoken before. We'd seen her at the memorial at the Toowoomba police station, but that was the first time today that we actually heard her speak, and how brave she was to get up there in front of a large audience of people. But she was very hesitant at first. She had to really collect herself, didn't she, before she spoke today, but she spoke so eloquently. And I love the way she spoke about how he was her hero, and that she was, he was also her soulmate. And she also said, that she promised to raise the kids with his values, and how much she would miss his inappropriate comments. As we've acknowledged and heard throughout today, Brett was a real larrikin. And I don't know what he'd make of all of this today. We did hear, that he wasn't one for a lot of fuss, but I think that, this is the send-off that he deserves for the dedication that he had to his community.
Yes, and his father, Stuart, spoke about obviously how proud he was to become the 3rd generation in the family, a police officer. said it was a touching moment when he said he wished he could have hugged him one last time. He probably hasn't hugged him since he was 8, but he wished he could have had one more chance to hug him one more time, and that it would spend the rest of his days making sure that the family was taken care of to the best of their ability.
And of course the letter from his mum that was read out by one of his brothers, and she said, you know, Brett was in a rush to get into the world. He came into the world in 3/4 of an hour, but there's no rush to farewell him today. This is a very solemn procession. It stretches for about 1 kilometre, and it will take some time.
And the Reverend Jeff Bales, and I think this sums up what we're seeing today, and he suggested that we don't ask why, the circumstances surrounding it just for today, but how, and how blessed that everybody was to have had Brett stand up for his community and pay the ultimate sacrifice, and how fortunate people were to have worked with Brett, to have been mates with Brett. And,
well, he loved life, didn't he? He was a police officer that certainly loved life. And I love the way his mother said, you know, he will never be forgotten, that Christmas was one of Brett's favourite times, apparently. And she did say that every year they will still set a place for Brett at the Christmas table to remember him. He will always be there with them. I don't know how anyone says goodbye to their son. It'd be a very, very tough time for Heather and Stuart today.
You see the various flags that have accompanied Brett through the service today, and all the way out to his final resting place. And nobody has moved in the line right next to our broadcast position. Everybody's still in position. Very solemn moment.
Yeah. Well, there were some 5,000 mourners here today, and I don't think anyone has left yet, Bill. They're still waiting until the hearse passes through this Guard of Honour. I did hear a story, and I haven't had confirmation, but I actually read it in a newspaper, so I'm hoping that it's true. But I understand that they were going to place a hat in Brett's coffin, and it was actually Brett's dad's hat. And apparently Brett found it in the family laundry, and he loved that hat, and he wore that hat, and he used to wear it to work. And I understand that that hat was going to be placed inside the coffin, and Brett will take that with him. And I think that's very special for his dad.
Yes, yes. Well, I'd heard a story earlier too that when his dad was a bike policeman, and Brett used to sneak onto the bike around the backyard and home sometimes. Whether that's a story that's true, I'm not sure, but I did hear that.
Well, I understand he used to race out and listen to the police radio. Even as a young boy, you know, he was dedicated then and wanted to become a police officer. He knew from a very early age what he wanted to do. I think it took a couple of jobs before he got there, but he eventually got there. And
everyone has to find their time, and I think he did find
his place.
Calling in life.
Yeah, he found his place.
He excelled at it, and as they said, it sounded like he was a very humble person, because he, as you mentioned earlier, if he didn't know something, he would ask. And he would always make people feel better around him, walk taller.
One of the tributes from one of his fellow officers said he was made of the right stuff. He was an officer made of the right stuff, and I think that sums it up, doesn't it? He was someone who was dedicated from a very early age to wanting to serve his community, and that is being acknowledged today. You can see police officers there saluting the hearse as it passes by down Baker Street, heading towards a private burial service later in the day.
And as we're seeing there, the salute's held until the passing of the hearse, and salutes and hand on hearts are dropped once the hearse has passed as a mark of respect.
Gee's family must be drawing great comfort from this bill to see so many people still here honouring Brett Forte. I don't think they would have imagined that it was going to be quite as big as it has been today.
Yes, and if, of course, Susie will take these memories forward with her, a police officer herself. Tough time ahead for her. But,
yeah, but
as we
the
did say, very
support's
brave
there.
today.
Yeah.
She's got a big support network around
Yes.
her. And
There's no shortage of support in that line of blue.
I can only imagine the comfort of that Blue family, and as was mentioned today, in her own family, enabled her to get up there today and give that tribute one last time and talk to Brett and talk about him in front of this gathering today.
Must be a sense of occasion for the dogs as well to be involved in this. Just watching them there, I'm not sure they'd be used to this.
They're certainly doing that.
This type of occasion, but it's good to see so many of them out there.
So the Guard of Honour moving down Baker Street, making its way towards West Street, and where it will be completed, and the hearse will make its way on to Brett's final resting place with a private family-only ceremony.
It was interesting, Bill, to read earlier that Ian Levers, the president of the police union, he said he hoped today also was about not only of obviously remembering Brett, but also acknowledging the work that all police officers do. And that has certainly taken place today. There's no doubt about it that the community of Toowoomba has come out and said thank you to all police officers, not only Brett Forte.
And Susie as well, and from the very beginning of her speech today, she thanked the community for their kindness and respect. And she singled out the random acts of kindness to officers all over the state, and she thanked the police family for the support and the support you were getting in the years to come. And particularly thank the first responders as well, as we see into the back of the hearse. We can see Brett's hat on the coffin as well, as we get moved towards the end of the Guard of Honour.
His family must be so proud to Bill to know that he's been given the Medal for Valour for policing. It is the highest medal in terms of bravery in the police service that can be awarded to an officer. And I'm sure they're very, very proud today that that medal was awarded to him posthumously.
Yes, it was certainly apt for the Commission to make that announcement today.
It's the car there carrying the family of Brett Forte. Lots of tears shed today, lots of tears shed, but a lot of support and comfort as well from the community. You can see there behind all those vehicles. I think there are about 6 vehicles, Bill, in total, and they will all go to the private service later on where Brett Forte will be buried. One of the touching moments today too in this service, Bill, was when we saw that photographic tribute, and there were some lovely messages there from the children. I remember seeing those, and one of them was, "I love you, Dad, best." And you can see a police officer there being comforted.
Yeah, his kids, he was clearly popular with the kids. Some lovely images on that photographic tribute, and officers doing it tough here today, and understandably. Lost a mate, lost a colleague.
Lost a friend.
Lost a friend.
Yeah, a friend who was much loved. I think one person described him as being very likeable. You couldn't help but like him. He was that. He had an infectious character, and he was much loved in the force. At all the police stations where he served. That Guard of Honour coming to an end there. Slowly. Very slowly. It's been a very slow and very solemn procession here today.
And as you can see, very breezy out there towards, heading out towards West Street as the parade winds its way down
Yes,
towards an end.
That procession will continue, Bill, of course, until it gets to the end of Baker Street. And then, of course, the marshal will yell, "Fall out," and that final salute will be received. And, of course, as I mentioned earlier, Brett's name will join other fallen colleagues then on the National Wall of Remembrance in Canberra.
Brett today, as we mentioned, posthumously awarded the Queensland Police Valour Award. Police Commissioner Ian Stewart making that announcement during the service.
And that is the end of this special broadcast from Toowoomba. Thank you very much for joining us to honour Brett and his family. We know the thoughts of the state are with them.
We'll see you tonight for a full coverage of this service today and all today's other news in 7 News at 6 o'clock. Thank you for joining us.
Fantastic husband to me and father to our children. I promised to raise our children with the values you held dear. You were my hero and my soulmate, and I will love you forever.
Brett, to the world you may be one person, but to our family you were the world. Rest in peace, my guardian angel, fly high.
Because I live for this feeling, this
title of hero forever preserved. He was our brother with honour he served.
Greater love has no man than this, than to lay down one's life for his friends.
It is with pride I announce the awarding of the Queensland Police Service Valour Award to Brett for his actions on the 29th of May 2017 in protecting his colleagues and our community.